Lindsay, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Tell me about your business. Tell me where you guys are located. Give me your website address, your social media accounts, all that good stuff.
Okay. I own Custom Love Gifts, Events, and Prints. It's a mouthful, but we do wedding favors, we do wedding planning, and we also do wedding invitations and stationery. We're located in Knoxville, Tennessee, so that puts us right beside the Smoky Mountains. The majority of the weddings that we do on the planning side tend to be destination weddings in the Smokies, probably about 80%. As far as our favor business and our wedding invitation business, we do a lot of that via online sales. So even though we probably plan about 100 weddings a year in this area, most of our favors and invitations actually go to couples that live all across the country. So the
Nice.
majority of our local clients aren't buying those, they're doing something different. We've been in business for about 10 years. I
Nice.
started online with the favors, actually. I did that for 2 years full time, and then we added planning just because it was so lonely working by myself. I needed some office buddies.
Yeah.
And then we added invitations, and we bought out a print shop in 2015 and added stationery into it.
Nice. Yeah, good. So what inspired you to kind of like get involved in the favor business, since that's where you started? What was the inspiration there?
Well, I was in the process of planning my own wedding, and actually it was kind of serendipity. I ordered the wrong size jars for my little jam jar favors for my own wedding, and I wanted to make my money back so I could order the bigger size that I wanted. So I made some, I sold them on Etsy just to try to, get my investment back so I could buy the big ones, and then got the big ones, made those too, and put them up on Etsy, and we started to see more and more sales. We had moved from where we were from in West Virginia down to Knoxville, Tennessee because of my husband's job.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a job for myself and kind of selling on Etsy on the side. And I realized the more time I put into selling on Etsy, the more it turned into a full-time job. So I quit putting time into doing applications and started to do Etsy instead.
Nice. Smart move. And then, so tell me about, and then when you decided to do the planning piece, did you see an opportunity in your market where there wasn't people doing planning for, because, the area that you're in, a lot of people travel into that market to get married anyway, right? So
Right.
Especially at the Smoky Mountains area, did you see an opportunity that was missing that were like, wow, well, what am I doing? Or
Yeah, I got into looking how to do something other than just online sales, just because I wanted some human interaction. I had been, I was making best friends with the ladies at the post office just because they were the only people I would see when I was dropping orders off.
yeah,
So I was looking at the different possibilities. I didn't want to do a huge investment. I didn't want to buy like floral coolers and turn myself into a florist or anything like that. So planning was the opportunity where there was low overhead, and also in this area, there were no planners that had a team. And there really weren't very many when I started 10 years ago. There weren't a ton of planners, and if there were, it was maybe just them, maybe an associate, but nobody that had a team. So what we came and did, we actually have 6 planners on our staff and 10 wedding assistants. So we can do a lot of events in a day, and more than planning, we offer support to venues that, so we can help with management support, and we can
Yep.
come along with like a venue's package, and I can have multiple people on the staff at that venue in one day that might act as a venue manager, a planner, a wedding assistant. So we wanted to be a little bit bigger with the team, probably from the get-go was our initial idea to do it that way.
Mhm.
Also, I have a passion for planning. I really like the design portion of it, and I really like working with the clients. But the price point in this area, the number of weddings that I would have to do on my own to be able to be a full-time planner and make a decent income is astronomical. I mean, you're talking about giving up, so much of your time. It's almost like it's not possible to make tons of money and good income when you're at every single wedding. So
That's right. Yeah, you can't.
so having a team is the way that we worked it out.
That's great. Then the printing side, the invitation side, what was you said that there was a print shop locally. How did that work out?
We our shop, we had a shop in the mall, and right across from us was a print shop that was closing. And we had purchased a few printers because my husband was interested in printing some invitations, and we already had to print custom labels for the favors that we were doing. So we already had some printers that we were using for different styles of labels, and we just saw the opportunity when that print shop literally right across the hall was going out of business to buy it out and to start to add invitations to the inventory, because it helps too if you get your invitations through us, your save the dates, match your invitations, matches your little tiny label on your favor, and it's all coming from the same place. So it's the same font and design.
Yeah. Well, and it also makes it easier for you for the printing of the labels for the favors, right? Because that's, you're already doing that. How do you add this other thing into it, which is in the same line? That's great.
Yeah.
Sounds like perfect opportunity just kind of dropped right into your lap.
It did. And my husband actually runs the print shop, so I literally don't have to do anything.
That's great. Okay, so what type of favors do you guys sell? Tell me about the types of favors you guys sell.
The majority of them are little tiny jars of honey and jam. And we have a few other things, but that's the most sales that we have are the edible food-based favors.
Okay.
Our most popular is apple butter, strawberry jam, and honey. And then we add like personalized labels to them, and we can do like little wooden honey dippers and fabric toppers to make them match the wedding. And then we also do things like water bottle labels, the little stickers that somebody might buy and like DIY a kit or a little, take home favor or something themselves.
Yeah, nice. And then on the invitation, I'm sure it's pretty much anything goes?
Yeah, we custom orders. So somebody can come to us and we actually design it for them. And then we make an invitation that's just theirs. It's not, one exactly like another. Another bride doesn't walk in and get the exact same invitation.
Gotcha.
And there's multiple different types of printing that we do with that. So we can do foiled invitations and white ink, and we have all of the invitation embellishments and things that go along with that.
Got it. And then, so for planning, I know you said most of your weddings are coming out of town, right? So not probably 80% of them, right? Destination weddings. What is included in the destination wedding package? What does that typically include?
We do about 100 weddings a year, and I would say about half of those are with venues that we've worked out where we come with the package, and they're probably going to be an all-inclusive wedding where the venue is going to include everything, and we are part of it, and we help them, plan everything for their timeline. We're there to execute all of the events and highlights throughout the day, but the venue really has come up with, this is their caterer, this is their florist. It's really set
I gotcha.
their packages. The other half of the weddings that we do are more custom weddings. So they're still destination brides, but they're probably going to go with a larger package that we have, not just event management, but something like our event production, where we're going to plan everything with them. Yeah. They're going to choose from multiple different options of caterers, multiple different florists, and we're there every step of the way to help guide them through, because they don't live here, so they can't do word of mouth.
That's
they
right.
don't have anybody around here.
Yeah. So how do most of your couples come to you? I know you said online is your order stuff for the favors and stuff. What about the people that are looking to go there to get married as a destination wedding? And then kind of tell me what that process looks like.
Well, online, we've been very lucky that we started with Etsy early on. And our favors started originally as little mason jars. And it was right when mason jars were the biggest thing in weddings, like around 2011, 2012. So the majority, almost all of our favor orders come directly through Etsy. And that process, they order just telling us exactly what they want. Like, you want a label, you want a jar, but we'll pick out the color, flavor, and design later. It's just the number of pieces.
Yeah.
Actually, with our invitation orders, it's the same way, because I can design your invitations to look like anything, but what I really need to know, do you need an invitation, an RSVP, and the details card, or is there no details card? Do you need envelopes, or are we going to print on them? So we charge for all of our products by piece, and then we go over the design later so we can customize it. And most of that's going to be online-based orders. Our brides that we work with for the planning side, We've been pretty lucky online that we do have a lot of people that come in to find us. So, and more than anything, we've been very lucky that we have a really good reputation in this area, and we've been in this business for 10 years. So we have a lot of venues that will be referred to us when they're looking for a planner that has a team, because not everybody can take on a venue and come with a package, because you got to guarantee that you're available. If they book a wedding, you have to be there to do it.
Yeah.
We have a team where we can do 6 or 7 weddings in a day. So
Right.
if I'm not going to be able to be there, one of my staff can. So really a network of referrals has really helped us. And that's just from saying hello to everybody and introducing myself to everybody over a 10-year period of time.
Yeah.
We used to do Google ads, and I actually stopped when our goal was to do 50 weddings, I think 4 years ago, and we went from 50 to 100 in a matter of a year. And once we got to 100 weddings, I stopped advertising on Google and Facebook, and we still do posts. We do social media posts, but I don't pay for ads anymore.
Yeah.
And it's almost all of it is referral based now.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. And but the key there is it took you a long time to get to that point.
I had what I call a year of yes. So for that first year where I started event planning, if you asked me to do something, I said yes. I did your photo shoots. I went to venue meetings. I met people for coffee. I did phone consultations. I wore myself ragged just trying to be at every networking meeting, everything. If you do that for a year, then, you're not just the blonde girl. Eventually you're like, oh, that girl, Lindsay. Oh,
Yep.
that girl, Lindsay, that owns Custom Love. You just have to get in people's faces and let them see you over and over again.
That's
But at
right.
the same time, you have to have something that you present to make them remember you. So I would always try to come up with a reason of, well, maybe we could plan a photo shoot together, or maybe I could come see your venue so I can know what it looks like so I could recommend it to my clients.
Yeah.
And then when the meeting at the venue, then there's another reason of why we should work together, in the future for people we really wanted to connect with.
Well, you're doing something of value. You're adding value to what it is you're doing. You're not just the yes girl, right? Out there just like, oh yeah. No, you're adding value and back into the relationship. So.
And I think that's something that people miss with networking, is that they think, oh, if we just go out for coffee, then we're networking. You'll remember me. We've networked now. You have my business card. And networking isn't about just getting in somebody's face and making sure that they have your business card. It's about creating a relationship. And like you said, a relationship that has value.
Yep.
You answer my phone call when I call you if you know I've got something to bring to the table every time I call.
That's right.
When I call you, I'm just trying to find a referral or see how your business is going because I want it to trickle down to me, you pick up on that. And that's not really a phone call that you're going to run to the phone and answer.
Yeah. Or respond to an email or a text or any of that stuff, right? No, that's totally true. You got to figure out what it is you're adding value back into that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Very key. That's very good that you said that. Love it. Let's talk a little bit about like what advice would you give couples, and we can talk about all three of them if you want, but what advice would you give couples that are looking for favors? And then what advice would you give couples that are looking for a planner that's having a destination wedding or invitations?
Honest advice for favors, because this is going to cut down the number of orders that I get, is instead, if you've planned for 100-person wedding right now, don't buy 100 favors. If you're going to put one at each place setting, do a favor table off to the side. So that way, if your numbers are way lower, favor table still looks cute and you didn't buy 100 favors and there's only 60 people coming. That's good advice, not even during a pandemic, but just in general. Just some people, I invited 200 people. Let me order 200 favors. It's like, oh, somebody's not come to your wedding. I hate to break your heart, but somebody's just.
Well, and somebody's not going to take all those favors either, right? Like, I mean, how many times have you been to an event and they have little giveaways and you're like, yeah, no thanks, I'm good, right?
Yeah. As a wedding planner, I'll pack up 30 favors at the end of an event all the time. So, and it's not the number of people attending your wedding anyway, it's the number of chairs you have at each table. So if you have 78 people, but you're using 80 chairs, so each table has 10 and everything looks symmetrical, you need 80 favors. So an easy way to save money for a bride and still give away nice favors, still have a cute little Pinterest picture, is to not put one at every place setting. Just do it on a little table. And you can order about 70% of your guest count if you do that.
That's great. It's great advice. What about for invitations?
Invitations, almost the same thing. We always get people that are like, I invited 200. I've got 200 on my guest list. I need to order 200 invitations. And it's like, one invitation per household, not one invitation per guest. Early on when we started our business, we had people order too many. And we stop them and we're like, hey, okay, have you done your list yet? Because it might be that a college kid lives with his parents and he can be on their invitation because it's one per household. So really, I think saving money looking at that. And then for the way that we do things is we're going to charge by the number of pieces that you order. So if you don't need a details card, then you don't have to order one. You can put it on your wedding website, so that way you don't have to pay for that extra print work. I think a lot of people are really surprised when they first get invitations, quotes, because they're like, oh, it's just paper and ink. Paper's cheap, and invitations will be like $1 a person or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, it's custom designed for you. And it's not just paper. You don't want invitation on like flimsy paper. That's much nicer. And usually like ours has to be, we can cut ours. And so it's having, and then printing. I'm so lucky that my husband runs a print shop because there's so much he knows about paper and ink that I don't even want to dive into. And so there's a lot of techniques that certain paper doesn't work well with certain ink. And you have to have somebody that knows that so your purple looks purple and it doesn't look kind of purple mixed with burgundy, and just to make sure that the settings are correct. So brides really don't understand that you have to pay for that expertise, or else it does look like you just went to Staples and had somebody print it off and it's kind of faded and the colors are kind of off and it's off center, which that's what kills my husband if something is not perfectly in the middle. So all of that can be expensive. So you have people that they want to pay like $1 or $2 per invitation, but they don't understand that what you get from us is not what you're going to get from a super cheap invitation.
That's company. Right.
They don't care if it's off center,
Yeah, that's right. And, it's there's an art to it as well. Like, there's experience that goes into it. If you really want something that's good, you're going to have to spend a little bit of extra money to get something that's good, get the people that understand how to do it. I totally agree with you. What about the planning side? Tell me about what's your advice for couples looking to have a destination wedding?
Destination wedding. I know that it can be expensive to hire a wedding planner, and I'm not being biased because I'm a wedding planner. Even if you can't afford to hire a wedding planner, you need somebody locally to give you advice on who to hire. The other option is you can comb a bunch of websites and look at reviews and things like that. But really having an honest person that you trust in the area to just say, here's some good people. Here's a preferred vendors list. So if you are doing a destination wedding and you just can't afford a wedding planner at all, well, first of all, don't assume that you can't, because for us, we do an event production package. That's our full service. We're going to do everything for you, plan everything package. But we do an event management package, which is more equivalent to what somebody would previously call day of coordination.
Yeah.
Even for my event management package, we're going to sit down and have a vendor consultation with you. You tell us what your budget is, you tell us what you're looking for, and we're going to tell you great people to hire. That might be counterintuitive because I want them to hire me from a full service package, right? But if that event management girl doesn't have the money to hire me for full service, but she's going to hire great vendors, she's going to have a great wedding. If she doesn't have the money to hire me for full service and she's just going to like try to figure it out online, she might hire some Facebook DJ, this happened once, that sings a song to his girlfriend on the mic via FaceTime in the middle of the wedding reception because he was $300. And so we learned that in the beginning, just give away some preferred vendors, give some information so they can make really good decisions. So even if you didn't help them plan it and you didn't come up with that additional income, at least what's going to happen for their wedding, it's going to be a much smoother event. They're going to have a team of people that you know and trust. And really what we can do is help them with their budget where they don't think they can afford things, and we can talk to them about how to afford it. So like to do photography for a smaller package or less hours, or they might not be able to afford the full service or the full videography package, but they can get the videographer to come do ceremony only or things like that. So the assumption that you just can't afford things, I would say don't assume, and then just talk to people, because we have great weddings where they hire our event management package and they go along with every vendor that we recommend to them, and their weddings are perfect. And I don't know some of them if we would have been able to do better with our full service. We would have taken some stress off of them. We would have saved them a lot of time. But the itself, we were there as their coordinators, and they had our A team of vendors. And I would rather see that happen than them try to figure it out on their own.
Yeah. Well, and then they appreciate that later because, things went off without too much of a problem, and, it's great. Right. Versus them trying to plan everything by themselves and then just winging it, which happens a lot.
Yeah. And then the stress of hiring somebody. If I say, hire this photographer, they're fantastic. I know they're a little bit out of your budget, but they're going to do this, that, and the other. They're going to be efficient taking your pictures. Their photos are great. They've worked at the venue before. Versus you find a photographer online that's a little out of your budget and they've got good reviews, but there's a couple of bad ones, but they're from 2015, and you're just not really sure if it's like endorsed by somebody. That girl that laid down that $3,000 for a photographer just feels more confident about her decision. So she's not questioning it. She's not thinking about it as long. She's going to book them and then move on to the next vendor. And her whole planning process should be a lot more streamlined, a lot less stressful.
Yeah. Well, in the end, too, you guys have connections and you understand how things work in the environment. So you actually can end up saving them more money than they realize just by at least hiring you to do even the event part of it, right? I mean.
Yeah. And then some of the things that they don't think about have to do with logistics, where we can just say, it's not a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
I can tell you about a venue that is gorgeous, but we're in the Smoky Mountains, and you know who else lives in the Smoky Mountains? Is bears. And so is it a good idea to fry chicken on site at that venue, even though it's going to taste delicious? No, you just shouldn't have fried chicken there, because that's an open invitation for the bears around the area to smell fried chicken and come to the wedding venue. And only somebody that's a wedding planner in this area that's worked at that venue several times before knows things like that. And so that's why it's so important for destination weddings to get somebody on the ground that can just give you some insight.
That's great. That's great advice. Let's switch gears a little bit, talk about the business side of things. As a business owner, what would you say has worked well for you guys over the past couple of years?
You know what? I think one of the things that works well for us is that we pay people pretty well. We have a team, and I have seen other people try to grow teams too, and their faces change a lot, where we'll keep people for 4 years or 5 years. I've had somebody that's worked for me since 2014. And they don't want to be planners for themselves. It's easier to do it with me, have a little bit more of a relaxed schedule, say no to weddings when you don't want to. You don't have to worry about advertising, but they get paid well enough that why would they want to deal with somebody not paying their invoice on time, or somebody's upset? Like I say, like, I'll take care of all of that. If there's not, you don't have to deal with the finances. You don't have to deal with invoices. All you have to do is help them plan their wedding. Kind of the fun stuff, really, the designing of their wedding, and then working with them to do their wedding details. So I think that served us well, as just treating people well and paying them. So when they look at what they're getting paid for the work that they're doing, they see that we value them.
Yeah.
That's helped us grow a team. What else has helped us is we have some systems that we set in. Originally, when I figured out that I wanted to have a team, we have to have some way to standardize our service, which is hard because every wedding is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's certain things that aren't different. You're going to have a timeline. You're going to have a layout of your floor plan. There's certain questions that we're going to always have to ask. And so what we did is we have a workbook that our planners work off of. And for each package that we offer, there's a different workbook that has more pages, maybe if we're getting more in depth. And so the service that you're going to get from me, the questions that I'm going to ask you, I guarantee you it's the same questions that all of my associates are going to ask, because we have the same 10-page workbook. In fact, I can guarantee you they're going to be in the same order because we have a certain order. What that's helped us do is standardize our service, so I know that we're across the board, it's going to be the same quality. But also what that has helped us do, and I didn't even think about this when we were planning it, is if somebody's upset, I can go back and tell you exactly what our process was, exactly when we did things, what the order was, why. And so that way, because every once in a while, you know, if we do 100 weddings a year, we've been in business for 10 years, we're going to have somebody, you know, very few actually, but a few that have said, hey, you know, I wasn't happy with this service. Where we call it forensic planning, just like forensic accounting. We're going to have somebody go in and say, okay, well, this is what your coordinator did. You know, the first thing I'm going to go over is we promised to fill out this 10-page workbook, and here's every question in detail about your wedding with answers. So we most definitely did the work because we answered all of these questions. And I mean, these questions are, some of them are simple, but some of them are kind of in depth. And then also what we do is we use a couple of different systems to help us keep track of everything. So I use HoneyBook for the planning side. I love HoneyBook. When I first started out with it, I just wasn't sure if I wanted to pay. I think it's like $40 a month after you sign up for it and all the discounts are gone. And I was like, oh, is that a lot? I kind of don't know if I want to pay $40. After the first year, I was like, take my money. You can have it, because so much that it does for me, where I'm on your HoneyBook project. I can see everything that my coordinators are saying to the clients. So the coordinator's on there. I'm on there. The mother of the bride's on there. The bride's on there. Half of the time the groom's on there. Half of the time they don't care. But at least everybody's involved. And so that way we can kind of monitor the communication between our coordinator and the client. So we're not just cutting them loose and hoping that they do a great job.
Right.
I'm setting them up for success, but we're still there to, if they don't get back to a client quick enough, I'm there to answer their questions and pop in and give them good service. And so I like it, keeping everybody involved and on the same page. I also like that my contracts, my invoices are very streamlined. HoneyBook is where everything is for the planning side. We use QuickBooks if you order products from us.
Sure.
So that way the two things are just completely separated. And I know if I look up your name in QuickBooks that you've rented some things from us and that we need to bring some favors on your wedding day. If I look your name up in HoneyBook, I can tell what planning service you've made. So really having systems, and because we do so many things, separate systems, even if I have to pay for them, I would rather pay for them than get confused. Otherwise, it will look like, if we did favors and HoneyBook together, it'll look like we are supposed to be coordinating a wedding out in California where we're really shipping 100 favor jars. And then automating our business, HoneyBook has some workflows in there that have really helped us follow up with people when we do sales. And then we also use Asana. So Asana is a task list, basically like a to-do list, but I use the paid version. So I can see I can assign stuff back and forth to my staff members. I can see what they're doing and whether or not they're getting stuff done and things like that. So that's really helped us right now with COVID-19, where we're working remotely to communicate. And then plus it helps my coordinators that work in the shop. If I think of something today on a Saturday when nobody's working, I'll put it in their Asana. They'll deal with it when they get to work on Monday, but I'm not like texting them or emailing them.
Exactly. That's great, because you know, that way if you have an idea or something, you just put in a task, someone can deal with it when they get in, and then you can follow up with it later. It's awesome.
I'll put stuff in Asana just as I think about it. It's actually set up on my phone, so I can be like, hey Siri, put this in Asana. And then I get up every morning and the first thing I do is look at it and say, what can my staff do that's on this list? And so then I try to get things off of my list instantly by just diverting it to them. And then I'll take the top 3 that are the most important for me, put them at the top, and try to make sure I get those done that day.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. What would you say have been like your biggest challenges over the past 3 years?
Challenges over the past 3 years. Well, getting to the point of having a staff is difficult. So, we were very lucky that I had one set of staff for almost 4 years. It was this, all of us were just the same people working for 4 years straight. And then all of my favorites at the very same time had different life changes where they had to quit. So, one of them graduated from nursing school, and so she went to be a full-time nurse. Another one got her accounting degree she had been working on. She went to a full-time job. Another person had a side job that they kept getting promoted until eventually it was like full-time with benefits. Just, they were a manager at a store mall. Just, I guess all of them moved on to bigger and better things because they were so awesome.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I had, a staff of 5 or 6 where I've had a couple of people who have just worked for me for a really long time that are still with me. But we had 4 people leave within about 6 months of each other.
Wow, that's challenging for sure. Yeah.
It's scary too when you're looking at weddings and they're so far in advance. For me to say, Brittany's going to be your coordinator in May of 2021, I got to know Brittany's still going to be working for me in May of 2021.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was a challenge initially then, and what I discovered, if I want 5 coordinators, I hire 10, because one person's not going to show up to training. One person's not going to show up to their first, training wedding that they're supposed to do. One person's going to have a terrible work ethic. One person's going to think that this is super easy. And then one person, for one reason or another, is just going to drop off. And so, and I tell them, actually, when I hire them, I'm like, hey, I think this year we hired 12. I was like, there's 12 of you, and I'll probably end up with 5 or 6 by the time this is over. And the majority of you will opt out. And, there's people that we hire and they do training weddings with us, and I just see they're not going to be a good fit. If I have to continuously tell you that you've got to keep doing tasks and working and keep moving, you're not fit for the hospitality industry that's so fast paced
and demanding.
But before I get to that point, they usually opt out on their own. It's like they don't realize in Tennessee it's hot in July all day when you're working in a barn with no air conditioning. And they also don't realize, even though I tell them, we do a lot of stuff. We don't hold the clipboard and point to people and have them do things for us. We're the people that get pointed at to do the things.
Yeah.
And they think it's a little bit easier. So really we pay people well. And some of the best advice I ever got was hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah.
And I have a bleeding heart for everybody. So in the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't want to let anybody go. This is so sad. But now it's, if you can't do the work, it's a disservice to you, me, and my client.
Everybody. Yeah, for sure. In the software industry, which is something I'm very keen to because I'm a software engineer, but we hire contractors to do the work initially because you can fire them fast, right? So you bring a contractor in, you don't have to waste a bunch of money and resources on hiring them full time. You just bring the contractor in, you train them, get them up to speed on the project they're working on. And then pretty much right away in a couple of weeks whether or not they're going to work out, because people will interview well. And this, right? People will interview well. They, say the right things. You have a good connection, and then you start to do the work, and it's just not there. Oh
yeah, right? The last crew we hired, the best interviewee was the first person where I was like, she's not going to make it. It didn't on site. It just didn't carry over.
Yeah. So that's it. Like you just bring in a contractor, have them do the work, and then eventually if they work out, then sure, maybe offer them a full-time position or something. But that's kind of how it works in the software field of things. So that process is, hire slow, which is the purpose of hiring full-time later, right? And fire fast, bring them in as a contractor, get them through the process. If they don't make it, boom, they're done, right? So. Yeah,
and then I learned too, because I used to feel so guilty about it. If you fire somebody fast, they haven't made as many plans with you.
That's
if
right.
You drag on for 3 to 6 months or something like that, they're starting to really invest, even if they're not doing a good job, they're still banking on things with you.
Yeah.
If it's, 3 to 6 weeks, that's different. You know, they can still make alternate plans if they need to.
Yeah, you know, you can tell if someone is trainable. You can tell if someone is willing to learn. You can tell if someone has the skill pretty much right away. You can tell if they're going to work out. I mean, it's not that hard to see it. I'm sure you see it all the time.
Oh yeah, the most important thing for us is work ethic and then soft skills. And I
Yeah,
can teach you either one of those. Either you don't sit down and get on your phone, or you work on it all the time. Just
yeah,
the ones that pull their phones out and kind of hang out on wedding sites, I'm like instantly they can't work for us. It's yeah, yeah. And I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you don't have your phone because we're adults.
yeah,
If you feel the need to do that, you can't work for us. The
yeah,
soft skills of how you talk to people, having emotional intelligence about, you know, the bridal party, if the stepmother is having a hard time with the bride or something, some sort of emotional intelligence, just dealing with people, and
yeah,
then professionalism, dealing with both clients and vendors.
yeah.
Even if you're really friendly with your client, you don't text them and just, you have to be more professional. Like
Yep.
we have a system that we use for, it's all in Honeybook and it's in Honeybook for a reason. So I can support you. If you're texting people back and forth, it's against our system, because if something happens to you and you disappear, I don't have your texts. I
Yeah.
can't facilitate their wedding anymore. We need to be professional and kind of stick with our system. And then the way that we talk to other vendors, they might be our friends on site too, but we have to still be professional because we're
Right.
still in office setting, even though our office setting's a party. A wedding's, a party and a celebration for
Yeah.
office.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. So if you had to go back 5 years from now and give yourself some advice, what advice would that be?
The hire slow, fire fast. Don't blow them up with everybody and just be like, they're going to be perfect. Definitely that. And then, when we're talking about networking, I said that we had a year of yes, and I just said yes to everything so I could really get to know people. At some point, you got to turn it around and start saying no.
Yeah.
Especially when you do get to be a bigger company and people are reaching out to you to do things. It's not always in your best interest to do things. And it's not that the other person wants, you to do something bad, but just, should you commit to a photo shoot and use those resources when you could be doing something better, suited for what your path is, instead of that photo shoot?
Yeah.
So
What was the turning point for you on that to say, okay, now I need to start saying no? What was the thing that made you feel like, oh, you know what, now I need to start saying no?
well, I can use photo shoots and style shoots as an example. In the beginning, my year of yes, I said yes to anything. One, I needed photo shoots to be able to have photos to advertise myself because I hadn't done tons of weddings.
Yeah.
I thought they were fun and I really enjoyed them, but they cost a lot of money to do that. And so sometimes people that do, their investment is a little bit more work and time. They don't realize the investment a florist, for example, has to make. They got to buy all those flowers, and they're going to
Yeah.
die. I've known florists that have invested $700 or $800 into just a photo shoot. So, trying to really look at those and make sure that they were worth our time was something that we started to do, because we started to get inundated with just people asking, and then sometimes people expecting for us to say yes to do these photo shoots. And it was looking at, is this a venue that we want to work at? Is this a venue that we want to, does this match our brand? What would we get out of it as far as, would that venue hire us? So if it's a venue that has an in-house planner, I don't want to do a photo shoot there.
That's
I'll
right.
work there.
Yeah.
Now, I'll send you favors and invitations all day long, but coming on site and using our payroll to style and execute a photo shoot is something we wouldn't do. So what happened, to be completely honest, is I got exhausted, and I was trying, and I had a daughter, so I had to try to figure out what to do with my time. My time was more valuable because I had a baby to take care of, and I didn't want to run myself ragged anymore. So at some point you have to ask, are you running your business, or is your business running you? And if you're running yourself ragged and you can't really pinpoint exactly why, then your business is running you. So if you do a photo shoot and you say, you know what, I haven't worked at this venue for a while, I need some fresh photos there. They got a new venue manager that I'd like to get to know. I really want this photographer to have some pictures with me so we can connect our brands that way. And, or maybe for venues that we work with where we kind of come with the package, if it's an all-inclusive package, maybe the venue got new chairs. And so we need to kind of do some marketing photos for a new area that the venue's built or a new investment they've made. Then it makes sense to do a photo shoot. I've gotten requests where somebody's like, I'm bored with quarantine, and so I want to do a photo shoot here at this place that you've never worked at, and they have a coordinator. Will you do it? And it's like, I don't want to work because you're bored. You know, I want to work. Let's do a photo shoot somewhere where it makes a little bit more sense for us.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it hurts other vendors' feelings when we say no. It's because they'll be like, well, why would you do this photo shoot but not ours? And it's because there's always a reason. But what we started to do photo shoot wise, I do 1 to 2 a year now.
Gotcha.
And we plan them for 3 or 4 months usually.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to blow them out of the water and use all kinds of social media content from just 1 or 2 very well done photo shoots.
Yeah.
So is when I was first starting planning in 2012 or 13, I would do 1 a month. If you asked me to do one, I'd figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's just not, it's not valuable. Plus, also they got photo shoots caught on as popular. And so everybody started to do them. So I don't want to do as many if everybody else is doing them. Yeah. Also, we do 100 weddings a year. Every single wedding I do is a photo shoot. Why would I not use that content and advertise that content that I got paid to do first before I put time and effort into something that we're doing, you know, for free or at our cost? It's not free. And so that was one thing that we said no to. And really when I said we only do 1 or 2 a year, we plan it for at least 3 months. And I hate to sound snippy, but we have to be in charge. And it's because I don't want somebody to tell us what the style is going to look like if we're taking over the design. We'll work with the florist and things like that, but we can't just bring in random. Your brother can't make the cake because he's trying to get in the cake business. We don't want to sign up for a photo shoot like that. We want to bring in the people that we work with all the time that we know are going to do a great job.
Yeah.
So when we set forth those stipulations, people are like, oh, okay. Well, I was trying to do a styled shoot in the next 8 days, so then you're not going to be a good fit. It's like, okay, good. I don't want to do a photo shoot in 8 days.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense for sure. Last question: what's has been your most inspirational wedding or business or story or whatever you have around that? So, most inspirational story.
You know, I really think that a lot of people in the wedding industry and a lot of planners probably are really guilty of this. They look at the high-end wedding as an aspiration. I just want to get to that point where I'm only doing high-end weddings. I'm working with the big budgets. And there was a wedding that we did where I was the coordinator for it. And this wedding had a couple that was getting married. It was their second marriage. They had 6 kids between the 2 of them.
Wow.
We used mason jars with these little popsicle sticks that look like pallets and silk flowers as their centerpieces. Their mom made chili and baked potatoes for their catering. And they had it at a local community thing that their dad was the part of and got a discount on. And I looked at that wedding. I looked around and I knew for a fact that the most expensive thing at that wedding was me. And that girl deserved to have a beautiful wedding and a stress-free day just as much as any high budget bride ever does. And so just knowing that she had value in what we did and she knew that we were going to help her, you know, take care of spending time with her family and the kids and enjoying her day versus saving that money or versus spending the money on maybe having catering or something. Mm-hmm. She truly valued what we brought to the table. And I think she deserves to have a beautiful wedding and a stress-free day, just like anybody that has, you know, $20,000 to $80,000 budgets. And I would say that's probably one of the most inspirational weddings that we did, just because I love the fact that we serve all different types of clients. and not too good to do anybody's wedding. I would love to be part of any bride that feels like she needs help, or any groom that feels like they need help to plan logistics and have a great event, and they don't feel like they can do it themselves. We want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and that's the reality of the market. There are all different types of weddings. There's weddings like that. There's weddings in the middle. There's weddings in the high end. Yeah, that's awesome that you. I mean, it's awesome to be a part of that, right? Like when you see that, you go, "Wow, this is just like a we're just having a beautiful time. It's all about love." They're valuing the work that I put in to take off the stress, right? So that they don't have to deal with various different things. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was an awesome day.
Yeah, good. Lindsay, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You have a great weekend. Be safe and healthy.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text, 520-399-8580, or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.